So you're going to stick with the mini-budget?
Well, the last time we spoke, we talked about the changes that the Chancellor had made to one of the elements of it. But ultimately, what that mini-budget was about, we should remind ourselves, it was about protecting tens of millions of people from unaffordable energy prices. So that was the bulk of that proposal. It was about making sure that taxes for 30 million working people were reduced a little bit. And those are really strong principles, and I absolutely think we should stick with those.
OK, so there'll be no other changes? There'll be no more reversals on what happened?
Well, the Chancellor
I'm
is
obviously
making...
referring to corporation tax.
So the Chancellor is going to be making a statement on the 31st of October, which gives a more holistic assessment of the public finances and our response to the global headwinds that every every economy in the world is facing.
Labour has a 13-point lead in 42 of the Conservatives' heartland constituencies. Now, I'm sure it's not yours, but colleagues such as Sir Ian Duncan-Smith, Dominic Raab and someone you might recall, Boris Johnson, are now under threat. Why is your party so unpopular?
Well, look, we are having to take very significant measures because of the unprecedented circumstances that we find ourselves in. That is unsurprisingly, I think, disconcerting to a number of people. But as I say, when my parliamentary colleagues and their voters see the positive outcome of that economic growth, when people see... Well, look, we know we've only got a couple of years until the next general election, so we know we've got to get a move on.
Sticking with corporation tax or not?
Well, I mean, the Chancellor will come to the dispatch box. I think it's absolutely right that we have made it clear that we want to invest in businesses, and when people talk about taxing businesses, I think sometimes there's this idea that they're some faceless entities. These are people. These are employees. These are the organisations that help people pay their bills. And actually, they have been under a huge amount of pressure. I talked to the businesses in my constituency. They have really felt the pressure. What we've said to those businesses is we want them to keep going. We want them to grow.
Well,
we want them to employ people.
But they need certainty, don't they? And we've already seen a U-turn on the top rate of tax. So I think what those businesses want to know is, are you going to stick with the plan not to increase corporation tax? Yes or no?
Well, look, the point that we're making is we've got a 70-year high tax burden.
OK, but that's good. That means those businesses can plan, can't they?
No, it's not good.
No, it's good that you're ruling out the rise in corporation tax, that there won't be a U-turn on that. That's good for businesses because they need certainty and they need to plan.
So the point that we're making is when you have a 70-year high tax burden, putting up taxes even further is not going to help stimulate economic growth.
The chairman of the Education Committee, Robert Halfon, has been speaking in the 1922 committee, as you know. Apparently he says that Liz Truss is trashing working-class conservatism. She's losing the backbenchers unless she changes some of the policies that she put forward as part of the mini-budget.
Well, look, let's remind ourselves what the proposition put forward by the Prime Minister is. She says that, first and foremost, many of these issues are amplified by Putin's brutal invasion of Ukraine, and we need to help the Ukrainians defend their country. We saw in the vote in the United Nations last night, we've got an international coalition of condemnation against Russia in support of Ukraine. So support Ukraine, point one. Bring taxes down a bit from their 70-year tax burden high and grow the economy so that we can pay for the public services. If people are saying one of those three things are wrong, I'll be very keen to find out which of those three things people are saying wrong.
It's the backbenchers you have to convince.
Well, again, but...
look at this quote, look at this tweet. It says, Tory MP, it was from one of my colleagues at the Daily Mail, Tory MP on Liz Truss's appearance at the 1922 committee. It was like someone trying to light a fire using a magnifying glass, using damp wood in the dark. These are the people that she needs on side to get her policies through.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, some people some people like having quotable tweets and some people like delivering good government. I'm in the camp of the kind of people that like delivering good government. I know that the Chancellor, the Prime Minister and my ministerial colleagues are focused on delivering for the British people.
OK, well, let's go with a different...
You can't be in the top job in politics.
If you don't want the tweets, let's go with Paul Johnson, the IFS Director. Try as hard as we can, given plausible forecasts, we can't see how to get public finances on a sustainable path without big, painful spending cuts or a reversal of the £43 billion tax cuts just announced?
Well, we have got to grow the economy. Growing the economy is the way for... Well, the way we grow the economy is to make sure we are internationally competitive. I'm the Foreign Secretary. I travel around the world and I can see other countries', tax and regulatory regimes, and we have got to make sure we compete internationally with the other places that people and businesses could choose to locate. So we've got to make sure that we are tax competitive. She made the point that we had to reduce the tax burden for both families and businesses down from a 70-year high, and predicted to get even higher still so that we could be internationally competitive. And we've got to remember, this was the most significant bit of the mini budget. She said she would protect people and businesses that were facing an unprecedented increase in their energy bills. That's what she said she was going to do. That is what she is doing. The fact that that seems to have taken some people by surprise, I think, is not her fault, but we've got to recognise that we do need to bring certainty in the markets. I think that changing the leadership would be a disastrously bad idea, not just politically, but also economically. And we are absolutely going to stay focused on growing the economy, because when Chris gave his package, and when your economics editor gave his package, people were saying, well, hang on, how do you lower taxes without cutting spending? The way you do it is you grow the economy. Yes, I do trust her to deliver on the promises that she has made, because the plan that she has set out is a traditionally conservative plan, which is about being a careful custodian of public finances. That's incredibly important. It's about allowing people to keep more of the money that they have earned, and it's about growing the economy. And the point I would make to the critics is the three things that she has set out. She's protecting the people that need protection the most, particularly from those energy price rises. She's going for economic growth, and she has said that we need to address the long-term challenges in terms of like energy dependency on Russia and that kind of stuff. Which one of those things do people think we should not be doing? The criticism of the Prime Minister, I think it's deeply wrong, it's deeply unfair. During the time that she was running for the party leadership, she made it clear that she was going to reduce the tax burden on people and businesses in the UK. She was going to go for growth, and she was going to be absolutely steadfast in support of the Ukrainian defence of their homeland. She is doing exactly what she said she was going to do. I
don't recall her saying she'd tank the economy, Foreign Secretary. I was out that day.
Well, Nick, I know it's a lovely soundbite, but the simple fact of the matter is our growth has been higher than predicted. Not as high as we would like, but higher than predicted. Our interest rates are lower.
Not for August.
I'm asking, can people be certain when they listen to government ministers that what you're saying is what's going to happen?
Well, the Prime Minister has been absolutely consistent. The Chancellor has been absolutely consistent that our plans are about growing growth. We will make the decisions, and the Chancellor will be... we had the mini-budget early in the year so that we could address those most immediate concerns, like the potential increase in energy bills, the huge increase in energy bills that we've now averted. So we had to move then. Obviously, the more detailed, fuller budget will happen, as we now know, 31st of October.